I-Team exclusive tonight. Funeral unrest. They're raucous, and police are saying increasingly dangerous funeral processions that are turning into a threat for mourners and anyone in the way. Investigative reporter Chuck Gallant is here with more.
Alan, there are hundreds of funeral processions from Chicago to suburban cemeteries every month. Most are reverent and safe, but there is unrest at some of these emotionally charged events, usually sparked by gang retaliation, according to police. Tonight, the I-Team with new video as authorities respond to shots fired in a suburban cemetery.
Go inside the cemetery. Go inside the cemetery.
Sacred moments shattered just days before Thanksgiving as police respond to reports of shots fired at a cemetery in South Suburban Evergreen Park. This body cam video obtained by the I-Team. Police arresting 56-year-old Elston Stevenson. Prosecutors say at a graveside service with mourners looking on, Stevenson said, "You deserved it," as he fired a single shot at the grave of a Palos Heights man recently murdered in his South Suburban home. No one was hit by the gunfire. Stevenson, a multiple felon, has pleaded not guilty to gun charges.
They've taken the funerals to a different level.
Hillside Police Chief Joe Lukashik says suburban funerals for Chicago gang members regularly erupt in violence. Just a month after the Evergreen Park incident, Hillside received reports of gunshots and highway mayhem as a funeral procession headed to the village. The chief personally involved in stopping and arresting 4 allegedly armed mourners leaving nearby Oak Ridge Cemetery.
I saw a gun in that gentleman's hand that was driving the car. I just couldn't, in good conscience, let that car get on the expressway.
This dramatic dash cam video showing the chief ramming his SUV into the suspect's car, then they're seen trying to flee. 4 suspects taken into custody.
You made the call to do this based on your observation of a gun in a potential offender's hand.
Absolutely. Plus, with the information that we received on the phone, 2 different phone calls, identifying that car as a potential problem with guns inside it, it just made sense.
Authorities say dangerous, disrespectful funeral processions and out-of-control behavior at burial sites are ongoing issues in some communities.
All traffic going westbound stopped because they were running across Roosevelt Road and running for their lives. And people actually got shot in the cemetery on a funeral.
The problem first surfacing in online videos more than 5 years ago. Police say this gang member was seen with a gun during a South Side funeral procession.
Let them know, man. We don't play them games, man.
Months later, he would be shot dead across from a funeral home. And community leaders last spring began raising their voices, saying mourners were still at risk.
Gentleman went up to the casket. Somebody came up next to him. They thought he was the one that killed the person, so they stabbed him in the funeral.
Police and funeral homes have stepped up security at suspected gang-related services, and some funeral directors are looking to protect themselves.
You know, when we're being trained on considering concealed carry for funeral directors, and that's up to us for whatever reason, it speaks for itself.
The cemeteries are overall peaceful, and I don't want to get the wrong impression. This is just a very small part of what goes on in the cemeteries.
Officials with Catholic cemeteries have recently convened meetings to come up with new methods of dealing with isolated violent funerals.
Very open conversations with funeral directors, police, clergy. Now we're trying to sort it all through as to what we do with that information and how might be the best way to try to get some control over this.
We're expecting a relatively large gang funeral.
On this day, Hillside Police station officers at a local funeral after Chicago police gang investigators send this alert warning of potential danger. The funeral ends without trouble. So why don't funeral directors just refuse to handle services that are potentially risky?
We go by the motto of founded by God. Then every family that comes to us, we consider them a gift from God. How do you turn away God's gift?
Funeral directors tell us they sometimes schedule services earlier in the day and modify procession routes to prevent trouble. There are fairly new state laws that give police the ability to ticket rowdy mourners driving in processions and impound their cars. But in some cases, they say that's just not enough.